Hey guys, what's going on? It's Big Pasta 92 here, and today we're going to go over a quick how-to guide on how to do the level 70 strat boost. There's a lot to cover, so we're going to get right into it, but the first thing is you need this trinket. The figurine of the Colossus trinket is going to be paramount, and you also need a good little list of consumables. We're going to go over that as well. So the very first one you're going to need is Superior Wizard Oil. You put that on any weapon, and it's going to give you a nice little spell power boost. The Great Arcane Elixir does the same thing, but you do lose it on death, so you want to be careful with them. Swiftness Potions are helpful for the bigger of the second pulls. There's two different variations of the second pull that we'll do. So Swiftness Potion helps mostly with that, but also for the third pull. Then you need regular food and Blackened Basilisk for your well-fed food. But you also can get some engineering explosives as well. There's a couple other things you can use. These are just what I use, and my spec also isn't 100% where it's supposed to be. This is just kind of to show you, you don't need a whole lot to get this done. It's pretty easy as long as you have the right consumes and the right strategy. It's more about how you go about the pull than it really is the consumes you're using or even the gear you have. I also have a significant amount of macros I use, this one specifically just to set a focus target. I've also got a whole bunch of set focus macros just for attack, for judge, for judgment of wisdom, seal of wisdom, a billion different ones. I show every single one if you want to pause and copy any of them, but it's just a series of cooldown macros and, you know, set focus macros, targeting macros. It's nothing really complicated. Basically, the only thing these macros do is keep you able to attack the abomination in the midst of all that stuff without having to click around with your mouse. You're going to set the abomination as your focus target during all these pulls, and the rest of your set focus macros are just going to make sure that everything you're using while all the stuff is on you is going to be directed towards him without you having to actually cast any of it or target any of it yourself manually. As far as what shield you want to go with here, it doesn't really matter as long as the rest of your gear is good enough, but honorable mentions, Skullflame Shield from the Age, Petrified Licking Guard from Sporegar Rep, or Force Reactive Disc are all very, very good shields for this. Other than that, just put a Thorium Spike on pretty much anything or whatever spike, and you should be fine as long as you do this right. Alright, so to get started for this first pull, your boosty is obviously just going to be AFK at the entrance. You're going to walk over and just kind of position your Paladin so that he's facing the chapel right there. And you're going to target any of these mobs on your right. I usually pick the highest health one and just turn evil. So what that's going to do is it's going to pull the rest of them, and you can get your rank 1 exorcism off on this mob. I haven't used any of the macros yet. This is just random targeting ability. You kind of want to spam Dispel on yourself just in case there's a frostbolt, but not too much issue. So then you find the abomination, and you use your focus macro just to set the focus target, and then you can come over here, use a rank 1 righteousness, get ready to drop a rank 1 consecrate on these corner mobs here, so they all pull. They're actually 2 different packs, believe it or not, and then you can finish off by using an exorcism on this guy. Now, Hearthsinger might be over in this corner. You can pull him instead of that guy that you just pulled, and it should all pull just the same. But the first thing you're going to want to do is get right here and follow this specific order. You're going to do Holy Shield, Consecrate, Judge Wisdom on the Abomination, make sure you're attacking the Abomination, reapply your Seal of Wisdom, and then make sure before you get down to like 50% health, you pop your macro that changes you back to Sanctity Aura. It activates whatever trinket you're using besides the figurine of the Colossus, and it activates the figurine of the Colossus. Now at this point, you're just spamming Holy Shield and spamming Consecrate. If you've got the grenades, you can throw those in as well, making sure you're constantly attacking the abominations. Now that your cooldowns are down, you're going to notice your health starts to get chunked, so it's important that you bop while you still have high health and mana and immediately cast Holy Wrath. This should take them down to around 10%. You're going to cast another another Consecrate. Don't cast Holy Shield, they're not hitting you, but slowly back away from the mobs as they die and keep casting your Consecrate in there. You're going to have to reapply Blessing of Sanctuary as well, because the Blessing of Protection obviously is a blessing. It takes it off of you, but after that you should be pretty much set, and that's the first pull. Hey guys, it's Big Pasta 92. I just wanted to say thanks for watching, and if you're enjoying the video and find it helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free and extremely helpful to content creators. Thanks again. Let's get back to the video. At this point, you're going to want to have the boosties move up. Obviously, I'm here on my druid. He's level 62. He's a little bit high for this instance, but it's the only thing I had around the right level to bring in and actually gauge the XP with. So these boxes are kind of your safe spot. If you're stealthed, you can go up even a little bit further, but there are sometimes patrols, and there's Eyes of Nax if you go up even as far as that fountain right there that'll just randomly spawn while the Paladin is obviously in transit doing the boost on the other side of the map. So you don't want that. Just stay in the tunnel and you should be good. But for the second pull, there's a couple different variations that we're going to go over. The first one is going to be the single pull, the big pull, the pull you're going to need your Divine Shield for, and the reason we use the bop on the first pull instead of the Divine Shield. But if you're new to Paladin boosting, I would suggest going to the end of the video and using the second pull that's actually there. It's a little more beginner friendly and you'll die a lot less. Also, if there is a pull that you're probably going to need to use your lay on hands on, it's likely this pull. This is also the pull that is basically making the swiftness potion mandatory, so if you want to avoid those, you can use the other one too. But turn evil on these first mobs at the very end of the main entrance of Stratholme, and then just keep running all the way back down, and then target the plagued cadaver, or whatever it is, hit him with a rank 1 righteousness judge, activate your swiftness potion, be sure to target the patchwork horror and apply your set focus target. That's just easier, right? And then all the way in the back, you're going to hit that mob with the rank 1 exorcism. Now at this point, I cast freedom just because there's a lot of spells coming at you. You don't want to get hit by a bad frostbolt. You can spam cleanse. It's all the same. At that point right there, I probably suggest judging the patchwork just so you can get the wisdom down. But you're going to want to keep your back against this grid right here, and definitely make sure to wait to get that wisdom on the patchwork. Make sure he catches up. Okay, wisdom on the patchwork, attacking, same rotation, get the stun out early. But you're going to see that I kind of angle my back into this corner, and it's just to show you the dangerous knockback that can happen during this pull. And the rotation's exactly the same as the other one. We're going to use all of our cooldowns, and we're going to wait for the cooldowns to be up, then we're going to shield, use Holy Wrath. But if you get knocked up on that ledge right there, you need to get down as soon as possible, or else they start to regen health. So that's why it's important to keep your back against the graded wall and not angled toward that corner where you can go up, because that can screw you if you get too far and they tick up too much. There's just really no recovering from it because you have one shot at this. If you don't kill them, then you pretty much die after your bubble. But bubble, Holy Wrath, continue to cast your consecrates down, and then once again, once you see them dwindling down around, 10-15% health, slowly start backing up, keeping them in your consecrates the whole time, and then finishing off the pack. So this one is probably the one where if you're gonna need to use lay on hands at all, it's likely going to be on this pull. But the third pull is also kind of a little bit sketchy sometimes. It's all really dependent on whether you can keep the distance or if you just start getting chunked along the way, and then you might have to cut it short. But the other variation of the second pull is much smaller, much more manageable, and you really probably don't have any chance at death at all. For the third and final pull here, this is going to probably be the hardest pull in the entire dungeon besides that last one. If you're doing the smaller variation of the second pull, then this is definitely the hardest pull for you, because there isn't really a way to split this one up, and you are going to be pulling the Unforgiving boss in this mob as well. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to kind of sneak around these ravaged cadavers. You're going to want to make sure you get around here without getting aggro. If you get aggro, it's fine. Just keep going the same way. They're not going to hurt you that much. You might just want to wait a little bit on the swiftness pot to make sure you definitely get as much distance as you can. But ideally, you get past these live mobs over here. You cast Turn Evil on this first Skeletal Berserker. Come right back over here with a rank 1 Righteousness. Hit it on that guy, and I used the swiftness potion a little bit early here. You can even wait until you get probably up to this post. This post right here is the other Hearthsinger spawn, by the way. Check there for the neutral rare boss, because you're going to want to get him, obviously, as boss loot right in that little canopy. And then you keep running through here. Make sure you get all the mobs on the sides. When you run under this overpass, the Unforgiving is going to spawn. Make sure you hit these ghouls on the side and keep strafing, because they're going to be right on you. You don't have swiftness anymore at this point, probably. This is the last Hearthsinger point. You can get him on the first pull there as well. If you miss him, no big deal. You can get him right there, or you can get him right across over there as well on the third pull. And the third pull, I like to kind of use this other corner. That's the first corner we used, but I like to go over to this left corner. They kind of stack a little bit nicer, less chance of, the casters getting easy casts off. And then it's just the same thing, the same exact rotation, rinse and repeat. Make sure that you're attacking the Abomination. Use the little bit of health you have before you pop your cooldowns, but don't go too much below 50 because things can happen fast sometimes in this. And then as soon as you're done with your cooldowns, evaluate your health, evaluate your mana, say, all right, can I get another Holy Shield off here and another Consecrate before I need to bubble and Holy Wrath? How's my mana looking? If you have health potions, I wouldn't suggest ever using them. The only potion you ever might need to use in this boost is a mana potion. Health potions, more often than not, are going to be useless. If you need to be healed, you're probably dead. But after you bubble, make sure to back out, don't take needless damage, And that's it, guys. That's the whole pull. It's a little bit hard to get used to. I'm a mage main, right? I do a lot of these boosts on mage. I don't have a whole lot of experience on pally boosting, so if any of you guys see anything that I missed or anything I could do a little bit differently or maybe better, improve on, definitely be sure to comment any helpful tips at all, because I'm a little bit new to this, but I did see a couple things that were missing from a few guides that I saw, and I wanted to add this. But that brings me to another point. One of the biggest guides that I used to help me learn this boost was a guide that Arliss made on his YouTube channel. I'm going to include a link to that in the description, because I just felt like he did a better job at going over the gear requirements for this boost than I ever possibly could. So I'm going to defer to him on this one. I'm going to go over the gear that I used. I'm going to show you guys the spec that I use, but I'm also going to put a link to Arliss's video in the bottom, because Arliss goes over the spreadsheets of your exact dodge needed, of your exact avoidance needed, of your spell power. He breaks down the sabermetrics of it better than I ever could, so I'm going to include that link as well. Make sure to go to his channel and drop him a sub. There's also going to be a little bit of a disparity on mob count between you and your boosties. You'll see mine say like 228 and 227, and then if you go over to the Druid's Nova, it's only going to say like 180 and 190. That's because of all the dead rats and the bugs and all that stuff that just spawn from the boxes and they don't give XP. They actually don't even register in anyone else's Nova except the Paladins. So for the smaller version of the second pull that I suggest giving a try if you're not too used to pally boosting, goes very similar to the first one. You're just going to turn evil on the last mob by the main entrance and continue to run straight back down the main alleyway. Now you're going to try to avoid the abomination here in this pull, but you are going to try and get a plague ghoul because they've got pretty high health. You can use them as a wisdom target. So just try and get like all of the ones that are on that street and the mobs that are right before this door, and it's kind of the same thing. You're not going to get stressed too much, but you do want to make sure you have your wisdom up early on whatever your first kill target's going to be, just so you don't run out of mana. But then Holy Shield, Holy Shield Consecrate, and then use your cooldowns pretty much whenever. It doesn't really matter. Like, you're not going to take a whole lot of damage this pull. You probably shouldn't even need to bubble. But if you do need to bubble, you just use your alternating cooldown. So basically every time you do a pull, you're either using Blessing of Protection or you're using your Divine Shield during that Holy Wrath phase. Right at the end of the kill phase, you're either Blessing of Protection or your Divine Shield. Then you cast, continue your Consecrates, don't use Holy Shield until whatever bubble you have is up. You're also going to want to make sure that at this point your boosties have again moved into the tunnel. They won't get all of the mob XP from the entrance, even if you use this kill phase. It is pretty close, but it seems to cut off right as you get on the other side of that gate. But this is a much more manageable version of the pull. The odds of you dying doing this, as long as your gear is anywhere near where it's supposed to be, are very, very slim. So for the second half of this smaller pull, you're just going to make sure you rebuff your Sanctuary. You're going to make sure you have full health, full mana. This is going to be another really, really small one, but you are going to pull the Abomination on this pull. So just kind of bob and weave through all this stuff. Set your focus on the Abomination with your focus macro, and then use a rank 1 exorcism on the furthest mob on the right side of that little alleyway. And then you're just going to want to make sure these mobs on the right pull. So I like to cast a little Judgment, but as long as you weave a little bit to the left, they're going to pull anyway. And once again, this is a super, super small pull. You're not going to have too much trouble. You can really take a few extra hits. So get your stun out early on this guy. Make sure your wisdom's up as well. Make sure you're attacking. If you see that wisdom going down from 19 seconds, you're not attacking him. That thing should constantly be on 19 seconds if you're attacking him, if your weapon's fast enough. If you see it more than 18 or 19, it's just you're not attacking him. So make sure you're absolutely attacking him. Then same thing, just use whichever bubble you have available. If you have a bop, use a bop, cast your Holy Wrath once they start to get low, and you kite them back, and it's easy pickings. It's really, really not a hard boost to do, and it doesn't take a lot of gear at all, as long as you do the second pull this way. The third pull is actually a lot easier than it looks, but you might need to use your real bubble for it. So if you do the small pull like this, you probably shouldn't need a bubble for either of these two mid pulls. Then you can use your Divine Shield for the third pull. The Divine Shield's a little bit stronger, a little bit safer than the bop is. And if you do the big pull, you're probably going to use the Divine Shield in the second pull, but if you're doing that pull, you probably don't have trouble with the third pull anyway. So just to go over a quick overview of the spec that I used for this video, it's probably not the best spec, but you can tinker around with it, and a lot of the better boost specs, I think, go deep into Vengeance, and what you have to end up doing is sacrificing a few points out of Improved Holy Shield, which is kind of a catch-22 because that makes your figurine of the Colossus a little bit less effective. But this is the spec that I use, and if you're a beginner, it's a pretty good one. It's got extra stam, and once again, my gear is not necessarily under-geared. I'm going to include the link to Arliss's video to show you a little bit of a better look at what this looks like on under-geared Pally, but the strategy is 100% the same. Everything that I'm doing on this Paladin is exactly what you would do on an under-geared Paladin. It just takes a little bit more precision. You can't take as many hits along the way, and it doesn't happen as fast. But as long as you keep the right distance with the pulls and you follow these steps down to a T, you're not going to have any problem doing this boost. But that's it for me, guys. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And as always, be sure to check me out at twitch.tv/BigPasta92. We'll see you guys next time.